So today we'll be looking at leg extension and also strengthening and reinforcing the strongest part of our body, which of course is the center. So we'll be lying down like so, and we'll be doing a type of position called Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, otherwise basically lying down with our legs at a 90-degree angle like so. Now, before we start, if you know that leg extensions are not your strong point, grab some kind of cushion or brick, towel, whatever, and place it under your bottom. The other thing is, although ultimately we are looking for this wonderful leg extension, if this really is difficult, then keep your legs slightly bent. More important is the lower abdomen coming down, which inevitably it will be. So therefore, look at that solar plexus coming up towards the ceiling and round towards your head. So that really is far more important. The leg stretch can come later. The only thing else I would say is that the feet should be flexed all the time. So whether you're at your 90 degrees or with your legs slightly bent, always work at this communication that I talk about every time we see one another between your feet and your hips. That's really, really essential. So get whatever tools you need. And then with our palms on the ground, at least initially, we're going to exhale, bring our knees slightly towards our chest, and then come up. So just spend a moment feeling the feet and the hips in communication. A nice thing to do is to imagine that somebody has actually placed their weight, they're leaning on your feet, and that brings the weight running right down to your hips. And you'll notice very possibly with that the lower back rises just a little bit. That's okay. That rise is okay, just so long as you respond to it with the lower abdomen coming in. Now, another thing you could do while you're here, and again, it makes no difference if your legs are bent or not, just get those feet active. Another thing you could do while you're here is bend your arms, place your elbows, push your elbows strongly into the ground like so. And again, what you'll find is that pushes the upper bottom, beginnings of the buttocks down into the ground. And you'll also note that that helps in terms of getting the solar plexus towards the ceiling and over towards the head. Now, when you stop doing this pushing action with the elbows, you maintain that work in your torso. And then you can exhale and just simply grab your knees and come into Supta Vajrasana and have a bit of a break. Sigh out. Enjoy the fullness of the lumbar area, that lower back, the lumbar area of the spine, entering into the ground and feeling the round support. When you're doing this, if your shoulders are really up off the floor, then I would encourage you to bring your hands under your knees, and that will allow you to bring your shoulders more fully down towards the ground. Okay, and then let's do this again. So we can start off either with our legs fully straight or even partially bent. Dig your elbows just for a moment into the ground and feel that lift of the solar plexus while we're pushing down with the upper part of the buttocks. And then you can maintain that setup of the torso as you come into this position. Separate the toes. Really envisage the feet entering into your hips. Another thing to watch out for is that the chin is not going up to the ceiling. Make sure that the neck is neither long nor crunched up. And then you can just come down and again go back into Supta Vajrasana, either with the hands hugging your knees, or as I say, if that brings an important kind of lifting up motion of the shoulders, then don't do that. Bring your hands underneath your knees so you can try and extend and widen the girth of the shoulders onto the floor like so. Now, what we are going to do is go from the straightened leg position, getting the torso the way I've just described already. And then we're going to bend our legs, keeping our feet really, really active. But what I want you to try and do is squeeze the knees together so the knees and the inner leg are permanently touching one another. Now, for some of us, this is just a natural action of the body, so enjoy the fact that it's easy. I personally find this really, really difficult, and I know there are people out there that will likewise find it's difficult. So you're going to be feeling a lot of action in the hips. You're going to be feeling belly work as well. There's going to be all these actions in the belly going on that perhaps you've never felt before. So just breathe in this activity. And then when you start to slowly straighten your legs, or slowly partially straighten your legs, you keep the inner legs together. And then we'll do it again, so activating the feet even more so. Bend your legs, keeping the inner legs touching one another. And feeling the reaction in the hips, in the lower back, in the belly. And then from there you can just come down and relax in Supta Vajrasana. Sigh. Really feel the outer scapula, the outer shoulder blades coming and touching the ground. That's an action that's so important, as it allows us to treat the upper back as well as deepen the hips. And then you can just come down, bring your toes towards the ground, and then the whole of the foot. Bring your hands onto the belly a moment and just have a relax. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to just lift our feet ever so slightly from the ground. So when you do that, think about your pubic bone coming towards your chin, but have your hands on your belly, and when you do that, observe what's happening in the belly. So when you're ready, just lift your feet ever so slightly off the ground. Now you'll be able to feel automatically that there's quite a lot of work going to the belly. So you can see that the muscles in the belly are essentially holding the weight of the legs. It's a counterweight. So that shows how important the belly is. Now, the next position we're going to kind of do is Prasarita Padottanasana, but maybe leave that to the side because it's going to be such a modified position that maybe it's incorrect to say that, but we're moving towards that position anyhow. But I'm using this modified Prasarita Padottanasana because I really want to get in contact with this belly action here. So bring your feet to the ground a moment. What you've just done is obviously using your abdominal muscles, but we're going to ramp that up a notch or maybe two. So if you know you've got weak muscles, just play it safe essentially. Always imagine the pubic bone moving towards the chin, which stimulates a retroversion. Okay? So the very first thing we're going to do is, as I've said already, pubic bone towards the chin, lifting your feet off the floor, retroversion, and then bring your legs up again. So already we're feeling the work in the belly. And then leaving your hands there, exhale and just bring your left leg completely to the ground like so. I want both feet really flexed, separate the toes, and the feet are disappearing into the hips. and then just come up with the left leg and bring down the right leg. So at all times the pubic bone comes towards the chin while the feet are moving in towards the hips, and then you just bring your legs up. First side again, exhale, bringing the left leg down to the ground. Really, really activate your feet as much as possible. Feel the work happening in that counterweight belly, coming up with the left leg, bringing down the right leg. Never stop working the legs. And then come up and then take a break. Now, if you start off with your legs bent, then as you move, whatever leg is coming down towards the ground, that needs to straighten until by the time it's on the ground, it's completely straight. Okay, so there's no problem about leaving the upper leg bent, but by the time the lower leg is on the ground, that should be really strong and straight. Let's try it again. Exhale, both legs coming up, and then on the next exhalation, bringing the left leg down towards the ground. Breathe for a moment or two. Keep the throat nice and open and come up. Exhale, bring the other leg down. Again, breathe for a moment or two and then come back up. First side, exhale. Really get that retroversion and coming up. And that as you come down on the other side, that retroversion means that there's virtually no space between the lower back and the floor. That's really important for conserving your lower back. Now come down and just spend a moment in Supta Vajrasana. Think about the outer scapula coming onto the ground. Really push with the upper buttocks into the floor. And then you can just come down. Do a couple of sighs. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time our arms are going to be above the head, so clasping our fingers and bringing our hands above the head. So that means we've got to be even more attentive of that lower abdomen coming in, the retroversion, because you're going to be feeling a lot more of a stretch here. It should be really, really nice, but it is very strong. First things first, exhale, bring your legs first of all in Supta Vajrasana and then up towards the sky, either partially bent or completely straight. Interlace your fingers on the next exhalation. Bring your hands behind you. Okay, lower abdomen coming towards the floor. Exhale and bring your left leg to the ground. And feel how, as a result, the whole length of the body, from your fingers to your toes, is being expanded in all directions. Coming up with the left leg and then coming down with the right leg. Breathe for a moment or two. Feel how important and how solid that lower abdomen is in protecting the lower back. Come up with the right leg, down with the left leg again. Suck in the feet right into the hips. Coming up, and the other side. And even as we're here, feel the lower abdomen coming in and the solar plexus moving up and towards the head. Coming up and bringing your hands over to embrace your knees as you do Supta Vajrasana again. Sigh, let it out. Bring the outer scapula down towards the floor. Press the upper buttocks into the ground. Okay, and then we'll do that one more time. Changing the interlace of the fingers. Stretch your legs up and your feet up towards the ceiling. Bring your arms down towards the ground. And then exhale, left leg towards the ground. Spend a couple of moments really perceiving the 2 points of the torso. Then come up it with your left leg. Come down with the right leg. Feet active, disappearing into the hips, lower abdomen, coming down towards the floor. Bring the right leg up, left leg down. Keep the breathing fluid, open, regular. Up with your left leg, down with your right leg. Up with your right leg, and then coming into Supta Vajrasana. Press with the upper buttocks into the ground and make sure the width of both scapula are touching the ground. Sigh. Melt into the ground. And then you can, while your pubic bone is moving towards the chin, bring your toes towards the ground, then the whole of the foot. Then you can just relax, bringing your hands onto the abdomen and noting now just how soft that abdomen is. So still staying on the theme of leg extension, I'd like to focus on the thigh. So you might want to put yourself near a wall because we might be dealing with a little bit of balance issues. Maybe not, but it's always best to be safe than sorry. I'll be on my side like so with my fingertips just on the wall here in case I need it. So we're going to be like so, our knees under our hips. And all I want to do is lift up one of my legs and grab the ankle. Okay? Now what tends to happen is we start to stick our bottom out and we lose the retroversion. We're actually doing an anterior pelvic tilt here. And we need to keep the retroversion like so. So think about the pubic bone moving up, the tailbone moving down. And the more you do that, the more you're going to feel a stretch here. So breathe into that stretch. And if this isn't a problem, you could start to move that heel closer and closer towards your bottom. Don't let up the retroversion. Pubic bone up. The tummy should still be entering in. Now, if it's okay, the balance, you could actually bring both hands onto it. And if this really is easy, bring your elbows back to the wall behind. And as you stay in this pose, you can start to move your heel closer and closer until it touches your bottom. And then you can just come out like so. Now for me, that really hurts against the floor, so I'm just going to double up the mat. And so it's much softer for me now. Let's try the other side. So here, to start off, pubic bone moving up. And then maybe with both hands, I can start to bring my heel so it touches the bottom. And this is a slightly easier side for me, so I'm going to really now open up my chest by moving my elbows back. And I've got to remember at all times, moving my lower belly in. And then putting my hands back on the wall to protect myself as I come down so I don't lose my balance. Here I am, back on the first side. Now the second time you do both sides, you're going to find it just so much easier. So wherever you are, priority is that retroversion. And then you can start to treat the solar plexus simply by moving the elbows back behind. But remember, it's a strong action, moving your elbows back, so be careful about sucking that lower abdomen in so you maintain your retroversion. And then we come on to the second side. And breathe. There's a lot of stretch going on in the thigh. So don't worry if you're doing only 45 degrees or even more. The stretch will come. It is just simply a question of practice. But I would say disciplined, regular practice. and then you can come down. We are going to encourage yet more of that stretch while stretching fully the front leg. So we'll start off like so, and you note my toes, which are permanently pointing up towards the ceiling. We can't lose that. Often the toes start to come like this. We want to keep the toes pointing up. Now the other thing is we want to keep the hips square and a strong retroversion, exactly like what we were doing in the previous exercise. The foot at the back, by the way, can be flat or toes tucked in, whatever you prefer. So all we're going to do is, thinking of the 2 points of our torso, we're going to start to move over like so. Now, as soon as we do that, the toes of the front foot want to come forward. So really, really think about drawing them up towards the ceiling. And as you draw them up to the ceiling, note that in actual fact, the sensation is the foot coming into the right hip. Now, if this is difficult, keep high. You can have a couple of bricks. So really feel lower abdomen coming in, and the solar plexus is still pushing forward and moving towards, in this case, you could consider the solar plexus moving towards your toes of the front foot. If you don't need that kind of height, you can work your way down slowly with the bricks. And maybe you want to just feel your hips a moment to make sure they're nice and square. So they've got to be parallel. And if you don't need bricks, just simply stay like so. Now there's a lot of stretch happening in the front leg, and you're not feeling anything in the thigh yet. So just breathe and stay where you are. And then we can just come up and change legs. So you feel this wonderful stretch happening in the front leg. Let's try the other side. So the toes of the front foot, in this case the left leg now, moving up. Keep the hips square, retroversion intact throughout, and then we can start to move down. Use all the support you need. And then scan all the various features we've talked about. The toes pointing up towards the ceiling, hips square. Really feel the solar plexus moving towards that front foot. And breathe. And then you can come up again. Now we'll do the first side again. So when you're ready, with or without support, just come into this exercise, which is Ardha Hanumanasana. This is a kind of half split position, and really feel the solar plexus moving inexorably towards the front foot. And then you can actually slide that leg a little bit more and create as much of a stretch, not only in the front leg, but in the back thigh as possible. Now to that end, you've got to keep on thinking both hips parallel. Feel what the 2 points of the torso are doing. Now I don't want the splits. I want a movement towards the splits where we're doing the correct technique. So keep the toes of the front foot pointing up towards the ceiling, and feel how that makes the right foot enter into the right hip. Press the back foot down and the back knee down towards the ground. And then you can come up. And come on to the other side. So it's really important to use the bricks under your hands in order to guarantee the correct setup of the torso. If you come down and you're like this, with this kind of hump, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you'll only practice incorrect stuff. And it's a total waste of time. So be very happy using whatever support you need, provided that guarantees that the correct alignment and technique we've been discussing. So when you're ready, just start off without any kind of stretch in that back leg. Be aware of the 2 points of the torso, that solar plexus moving towards the toes of the front foot. Feel, meanwhile, the front foot entering into the hips. And then from there, we can just come down. The toes are still pointing up to the ceiling. And we're starting to have a little bit of a stretch in that back thigh, as per the last exercise and what we were doing. Now, while we're here, think all of this leg coming into the left hip. Press down with the right foot at the back and the knee into the ground. And then think about the solar plexus still moving towards the front. And breathe, allow the stretch both in the front leg and in the thigh behind to emerge. And then you can just come back. Sit quietly for a moment. Now, it's always a good idea to do this type of intense exercise 2 or 3 times per side. But for now, we're just going to come into Supta Vajrasana one more time. And feel the fullness of our back on the ground. Feel the 2 points of our abdomen, of our torso, doing what they should be doing. So push down gently with the upper buttocks, moving the outer scapula towards the ground. Really watch your chin. Your chin should not be moving up, but nor should it be moving towards your chest. And in the last few moments, enjoy the peace within you.